This is proper legal history, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a culmination of more than a decade of campaigning by the broadcasters to get the judiciary to accept cameras in the criminal courts. We have had cameras which slowly but surely have got into the legal process, where we now have cameras covering the Supreme Court and also in the Royal Courts of Justice down in London, covering some cases and some Court of Appeal cases there. But really, the move into covering criminal cases at the Crown Court in England and Wales was a move that the judiciary was quite resistant of, for understandable reasons, because they didn't want to see a sort of an Americanised system whereby you almost had a show trial televised in all its warts and all on television, with potentially those who were going to testify, such as witnesses, being put off that process by the fact it was being televised. They've been given reassurances, and initially all we're going to get is judges' sentencing remarks. But regardless, it is a very significant move.
Just to say that the picture seen on the screen of the Old Bailey in central London, it's expected to become the first court in England and Wales to allow television sentencing when the case of a convicted killer is heard. You may have just seen a picture on the screen there, but that is the Old Bailey, and that's where we're expecting that to happen. And interestingly, from tomorrow, so almost immediately, essentially.
Yeah, tomorrow morning, 25-year-old Ben Oliver is up for sentencing. He pleaded guilty to manslaughter. He had initially faced murder charges, but a plea to manslaughter on the grounds of diminished responsibility was accepted. A pretty grim case where he stabbed to death his bedridden grandfather in January of last year. But that will, providing that the trial judge, Sarah Munro QC, grants it, be the first case that we'll be able to bring live to the audience in terms of her sentencing remarks. And they in themselves, even though you're not party to the whole trial, the judge will summarise some of the key evidence in the trial. The judge will then make plain what they feel about the defendant, now the convicted offender that they're about to sentence, and of course then passing that sentence. So it certainly will be something that is, I'm sure, of great interest to the public and a real step forward in open justice.
And isn't that the point, is that, you know, justice doesn't need just to be done, it needs to be seen to be done as well. And that's the argument that kind of broadcasters have been making, as you say, for the last decade or so.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a system of open justice, but by sheer virtue of the fact that courtrooms can only house, 20, 30, 40 people, then that's it. They have a public gallery where you could get maybe 10, 15 people in to watch it. But the public actually at large have to rely on the press and on the television news outlets to distill down that case and to report it either on a daily basis or at the culmination of the trial. They have really no other way of getting access to that trial. They still won't get the whole trial, but at least they will get a very significant
chunk of it.
Sentencing process, which can last a few hours.